Have you ever looked at someone you loved, and felt a quiet pain in your chest, not because you lost them, but because you keep replaying the mistakes you made with them? What if the real reason your heart still feels heavy isn't the past itself, but the way you keep punishing yourself for it? Love has a strange way of teaching us the deepest lessons. Sometimes those lessons don't come while we are in love. They arrive later, when everything is quiet and the memories begin to speak. Imagine someone who once loved deeply. They cared, they tried, but somewhere along the way they made mistakes. Maybe they said things they shouldn't have said. Maybe they didn't appreciate the person standing right beside them. Maybe they walked away when they should have stayed. Now the relationship is gone, but the memories remain. And every night the mind whispers the same painful question: why did I do that? This is where many people become trapped. Not in the past itself, but in the constant replay of their mistakes. But the truth about love is simple: mistakes are not the opposite of love. They are part of the journey that teaches us how to love better. The first step to letting go of past mistakes is understanding that the person you were back then is not the person you are today. When you made those mistakes, you were acting with the knowledge, emotions, and maturity you had at that moment. You didn't know what you know now. Growth always comes after the mistake, not before it. Think of love like learning to walk. Nobody learns without falling. The fall doesn't define you. The rising does. The second step is forgiveness, not from the other person, but from yourself. Many people wait years hoping the person they hurt will forgive them, believing that only then will they feel peace. But healing doesn't begin when someone else forgives you. It begins when you forgive yourself. Self-forgiveness is not pretending the mistake didn't happen. It's accepting that it happened and choosing to grow from it instead of punishing yourself forever. The third step is transforming regret into wisdom. Every mistake in love carries a hidden lesson. Maybe it taught you to communicate better. Maybe it showed you how important patience is. Maybe it revealed how easily fear can make us push people away. Those lessons are the real gifts hidden inside painful memories. Instead of asking, "Why did I ruin everything?" start asking, "What did this experience teach me about love?" When you ask that question, regret slowly turns into understanding. Another important truth about love is that the past cannot be rewritten, but the future is still unwritten. Many people spend so much energy regretting what they did in one relationship that they become afraid to love again. But love is not meant to end with one chapter. The mistakes you made in the past can actually help you become a better partner in the future. They make you more aware, more patient, and more understanding. Sometimes the person who made the most mistakes becomes the one who loves the deepest later in life. Finally, remember that the past version of you deserves compassion, not hatred. That person was learning. That person was trying, even if they failed. Instead of looking back with shame, look back with kindness. Because every mistake you made shaped the person you are becoming, someone wiser, someone more aware, someone who now understands love in a deeper way. And when you stop fighting your past, your heart finally becomes free to love again. Love is one of the most powerful emotions a person can experience, but it is also one of the greatest teachers in life. When people fall in love, they often imagine that everything will naturally work out. They believe that strong feelings alone will guide them to do the right things. But love does not automatically come with wisdom. Many people enter relationships without fully understanding communication, patience, or emotional responsibility. Because of this, mistakes become an unavoidable part of the journey. Imagine two people who truly care about each other but are still learning how to love. In the beginning, everything feels exciting and effortless. They share dreams, laughter, and long conversations. But as time passes, real emotions start to appear. Jealousy, misunderstandings, fear of losing the other person, or even insecurity slowly enter the relationship. Without experience, people often react in ways that hurt the person they love. Sometimes someone may say words in anger that they later regret. Sometimes they might ignore their partner's feelings because they are too focused on their own struggles. In other moments, fear can cause someone to pull away when love requires closeness. These actions may not come from a lack of love, but from a lack of understanding about how love should be handled. When the relationship changes or even ends, the person begins to look back at those moments with painful clarity. They remember the arguments, the silence, the missed chances to show appreciation, and the times they could have been more patient. What once seemed normal now feels like a mistake. But these mistakes are not meaningless failures. They are experiences that slowly shape emotional maturity. Every mistake reveals something important about love and about ourselves. It teaches how powerful words can be, how important listening truly is, and how fragile someone's heart can be when they trust us with it. Through mistakes, people begin to understand that love is not only about feelings. It is about responsibility, awareness, and effort. It requires learning how to manage emotions, how to communicate honestly, and how to respect another person's vulnerability. Many people only realize the depth of love after they have made mistakes within it. Painful memories become lessons that change the way they treat others in the future. Someone who once acted carelessly may later become deeply thoughtful. Someone who once took love for granted may learn to value every small moment of connection. Growth in love rarely happens without moments of regret. Those experiences slowly transform a person's understanding of relationships, shaping them into someone who approaches love with greater patience, empathy, and awareness. One of the biggest reasons people keep worrying about past mistakes is because they judge their past actions with the knowledge they have today. When they look back at a relationship, they clearly see the moments where they should have spoken differently, acted more gently, or understood the other person better. The mind keeps replaying those memories and asking the same painful question, why didn't I realize this before? But the truth is simple and often forgotten. The person who made those mistakes existed in a different time, with a different level of emotional awareness. At that moment, you were living with the understanding, fears, habits, and experiences you had at that stage of your life. You were reacting based on what you knew then, not what you know now. Imagine someone remembering an argument they had with the person they loved. Maybe they raised their voice when patience was needed. Maybe they ignored a message because they were feeling overwhelmed. Maybe they walked away during a moment when the other person needed reassurance. Today, looking back, these choices may feel painfully obvious. Now they can see how those moments could have been handled with more kindness and understanding. But this clarity did not exist in the past. It appeared later, after time, reflection, and emotional growth. Human beings are constantly changing. Every experience, every relationship, and every mistake slowly shapes a person's perspective. What you understand about love today is the result of everything you have lived through. The lessons you learned from those painful memories have changed the way you see relationships, communication, and emotional responsibility. The version of you who made those mistakes was still learning. That person had not yet discovered the lessons that later became clear. Just like someone learning a new skill, growth comes after the mistake, not before it. Think about how people change over the years. The way someone thinks at 20 is often very different from how they think at 30. Experiences teach patience, empathy, and awareness. Situations that once triggered anger may now inspire calm understanding. Conversations that once felt difficult may now feel natural and honest. The person you are today has already evolved from those past experiences. The awareness you now have proves that you have grown beyond the version of yourself who made those choices. Every realization you feel today is evidence of emotional development, showing that you have learned something valuable from what happened in the past. When people continue punishing themselves for past mistakes, they forget to recognize the transformation that has already taken place inside them. In love, one of the heaviest burdens a person can carry is guilt. After a relationship ends or after a moment of regret, people often replay their mistakes over and over, imagining how different things could have been. They punish themselves silently, telling their heart that they are unworthy of love or that they will never recover from their errors. But holding on to guilt does not heal the heart, it traps it in the past. The real beginning of healing comes when a person learns to forgive themselves. Self-forgiveness does not mean pretending that the mistakes didn't happen. It does not mean ignoring the pain you caused or the lessons you missed. Instead, it is a conscious decision to accept what happened, acknowledge your role in it, and then allow yourself to move forward without carrying endless shame. Many people think forgiveness is something that only the other person can grant. They wait for their ex-partner to say, "I forgive you," believing that only then will they feel peace. But real healing starts within. Forgiving yourself is the step that frees your mind and heart from constant regret. Imagine someone who lost a love because they reacted with fear or insecurity. They might replay the moment in their mind endlessly, thinking about the words they shouldn't have said, the times they weren't there, or the signs they failed to notice. Every memory is a sharp reminder of their guilt. But when they start practicing self-forgiveness, the perspective begins to shift. They realize that they acted as best as they could with the knowledge, experience, and emotional capacity they had at the time. They acknowledge that mistakes are a part of being human, and that love is not a perfect science. Self-forgiveness also teaches compassion, not just for oneself, but for others. When someone forgives themselves, they begin to understand that every person makes mistakes in love. They see that being human means learning through error, and that no one is defined solely by their past actions. This understanding allows the heart to soften, to stop punishing itself, and to accept that growth often comes from struggle. By choosing self-forgiveness, a person begins to let go of the weight that has been holding them back. The endless replay of regrets slows down. Emotional pain becomes less like a storm and more like a wave that passes. Every time the mind starts blaming itself, it can gently remind itself that forgiveness is possible, that the past cannot be changed, and that love still has room to grow. Once a person embraces self-forgiveness, they begin to see their mistakes not as failures, but as steps in a journey of emotional growth and deeper understanding of what it means to truly love. In love, regret often feels like a shadow that follows us everywhere. We remember the words we should have said, the moments we failed to act, the chances we let slip, and the times we hurt someone we cared about. Regret can be heavy, and it can make us feel stuck, as though our past mistakes define who we are. But regret, when seen through the lens of love, is not just a burden, it is also a teacher. Every painful memory carries within it a lesson, and the key is learning how to transform regret into wisdom. Think about the first time someone let jealousy take control, or allowed fear to push them away from the person they loved. At the time, those actions might have felt necessary or unavoidable, but later they become moments to reflect on. Regret in these situations can act as a mirror, showing not just what went wrong, but also what could be done differently in the future. It highlights areas where emotional growth is needed, where patience and understanding were missing, and where communication could have been stronger. Turning regret into wisdom starts with honest reflection. It means looking at the past without trying to excuse it or erase it. Instead of asking, "Why did I do that?" the wiser question becomes, "What does this teach me about myself and about love?" Every mistake has a hidden insight. Maybe it reveals how fear can cloud judgment. Maybe it shows how important it is to listen before reacting. Maybe it teaches that love is not just about feelings, but also about choices, actions, and consistency. By focusing on these lessons, regret stops being a punishment and becomes an opportunity to grow. Love is not meant to be perfect. No person knows how to navigate it flawlessly the first time. Regret is a natural response to imperfection, but it becomes truly valuable when it informs the way a person approaches relationships afterward. Each time someone reflects on a past mistake and learns from it, they become more capable of empathy, more patient, and more mindful in their interactions. They begin to understand how to love in a way that nurtures connection rather than fear or misunderstanding. Even the smallest regrets can carry profound wisdom. Forgetting to express appreciation, failing to notice subtle needs, or reacting in haste may feel like minor mistakes at the time, but they reveal patterns in behavior that, when recognized, can be changed. Gradually, the heart learns to approach love with intention and awareness, using the past not as a chain, but as a guide that shapes future choices. When regret is viewed as a teacher, the pain of past mistakes transforms into clarity, and each reflection becomes a step toward becoming a wiser, more loving person. One of the most painful feelings in love is thinking that a mistake or a failed relationship has closed the door forever. After a heartbreak, people often believe that the past defines the entire story of their love life. They feel that because they have hurt someone or because someone left, they are no longer capable of love, or that the mistakes they made are permanent marks on their heart. But love is never a single chapter, it is an ongoing story that continues to unfold, and your past experiences, no matter how painful, are just one part of it. Every relationship, every moment of connection, every mistake, and every heartbreak is a part of the journey that leads to deeper understanding. The person you were, when you made those mistakes, was learning how to love, learning how to communicate, and learning how to be vulnerable. Those moments, although painful, are necessary steps in the growth of the heart. They teach lessons that no happy memory could ever teach, and they prepare you for the love that is yet to come. It is easy to get trapped in the what ifs and the if onlys. People often imagine a life where past mistakes never happened, thinking that love would have been perfect if only they had done things differently. But this thinking ignores the fact that love is shaped by both joy and struggle. The mistakes are not signs of failure, they are signs of humanity. Every person who truly loves will stumble at some point, and every stumble carries a lesson that makes future love more meaningful. When you begin to accept that your story isn't over, you allow your heart to open again. You understand that love does not end because of a single failure or a single heartbreak. Instead, every ending in your past is an invitation to grow, to reflect, and to prepare for a deeper connection in the future. The love you experience next will be influenced by what you have learned, making it richer, more patient, and more compassionate. Even if you feel guilt or shame for the way things ended, the truth is that your heart is resilient. Each chapter you have lived, no matter how difficult, contributes to your wisdom and emotional maturity. The person who made mistakes, who stumbled, who faced heartbreak, is the same person who is capable of loving again, this time with greater awareness, intention, and depth. Looking forward means realizing that love is not a one-time experience but a continuous journey. Your past mistakes are not the final words in your story. They are merely part of the build-up that prepares you for a love that will be stronger, more understanding, and more enduring than you have known before.